You're a Roman soldier, 10 years in. You've served in Syria, along the eastern frontier, and now Judea. You've seen enough to know that every posting has its own kind of difficult. Judea is a different kind entirely. The people here don't just hate you, they hate you on principle, like it's written into their religion somewhere. You can manage a man who hates you because you're standing on his land. The ones who hate you like a theological fact are harder to deal with. You stop trying to understand it after the first year and just do the job. Jerusalem during Passover is the worst week on the calendar. The city floods with people, pilgrims, preachers, zealots. Every man with a grievance makes the trip in. Your cohort hasn't slept properly in 10 days. Double shifts, crowd control, standing post while the prefect manages whatever crisis the priests have dumped on him this week. The name Jesus of Nazareth has been in every briefing for 5 days running. You know what he did at the temple, walked in and cleared the whole place out. Merchants, money changers, tables flipped, animals running loose. The Antonia fortress sits directly above the Temple Mount. That got reported up the chain within the hour. You know about the entry into the city earlier that week, the crowds that followed him in, the noise they made. You know the priests have been on Pilate every day since. You know Pilate is trying to handle it without making things worse, and not managing either. From the briefings, you know what he teaches. Forgiveness. Render unto Caesar what's Caesar's. Kingdoms, not of this world. You've heard enough to know he's not calling for armed revolt. That's what makes this complicated. The priests don't care what he actually teaches, they care that he has the crowd. And Pilate cares that the priests are nervous. A riot during Passover doesn't end well for anyone. Your unit moves out with a contingent of temple guards. Romans and temple police working together on the same arrest tells you everything about the political level this is being handled at. Someone important wants this done tonight. A man leads you out through the dark, through the city, out the gate, up the slope of the Mount of Olives to a garden called Gethsemane. You find out his name later, Judas, one of the teacher's own people. You've worked with informants before. You know the type. The second you see them move slightly ahead of the group, knows exactly which path to take, goes quiet as you get close. This one has run this route in his head 100 times before tonight. The garden is dark. Olive trees. A group of men spread out among them, some of them half asleep. The informant walks straight to one of them and greets him. That's your identification. One of the companions pulls a sword and takes a swing, catches a temple servant across the ear and cuts it clean off. Your hand is on your weapon. This is the moment that goes sideways if you don't control it in the next few seconds. The teacher tells his companion to put the sword down. Then he bends down, picks up the ear, and puts it back on the servant's head. You watch this happen, right in front of you. You can't explain it, and you don't try. You file it, and you move. He doesn't resist, doesn't struggle, doesn't run, doesn't call on the others to fight. He comes with you like he decided how this night ended before you even showed up. The companions scatter into the dark. The informant is already gone. You march him back to the city. The night is long, and it's only getting started. The trials run until morning. Sanhedrin first, then Pilate, then Herod, who takes one look at the situation and sends him straight back to Pilate without a verdict. Nobody wants to own this decision. Everyone's looking for someone else to sign the order. Pilate tries 3 times to get the crowd to let him go. 3 times. A Roman prefect asking a crowd for permission isn't something you see every day, but you understand it. The priests have the crowd. Rome doesn't want a riot during Passover. Pilate's looking for a way out that doesn't end with Jerusalem burning. He can't find one. The crowd calls for Barabbas instead. You've seen crowds work before. This one was organized, too coordinated, timing too clean. Someone set this up before sunrise. Pilate washes his hands in front of everyone. You know exactly what that means. Man's already made his decision. He just wants the record to show he didn't want to. Charge comes down. King of the Jews. Pilate signed it. That's the job. The flogging is standard before a crucifixion. You don't count the strikes, the centurion calls it. The flagrum does what it does, and by the end the man is barely standing. He makes it, just. Soldiers throw a purple rag over his shoulders, press the thorns in deeper, laughing. 4 weeks of Passover shifts, and this is what passes for entertainment. You don't join in. You're too tired, and it doesn't interest you. He doesn't curse anyone. Most men in that position are screaming at everyone in reach. He stays quiet in a way that doesn't fit. You've clocked that now 3 times. Garden, courtyard. Here. Execution detail forms up. 4 men. You're one of them. The route through the city is a crowd control job first and an execution second. Keep the route clear, keep him moving, manage the people pushing in from the sides. He goes down under the crossbeam twice before you clear the first quarter mile. Not surprising. His body has been through a full night and a flogging, and he's carrying close to 40 pounds. You pull a man out of the crowd to carry it, Simon, from Cyrene. Big enough to do the job. He doesn't argue. You don't give him the option. The crowd is different on this walk. You've done this route before. Usually you get mockery, indifference, people stepping out of the way and going back to their mourning. Not today. Women weeping along the route, too many of them spread too far along the road to just be family. People who came out specifically to watch him pass. Most men walking to a crucifixion are already forgotten by the crowd before they clear the gate. This one, the crowd is watching him like the day isn't over yet, like something is still unresolved. You keep moving. Golgotha is ahead. You know Golgotha. The permanent posts have been there longer than you're posting. The smell hits you before you're through the gate. Stopped bothering you years ago. Crowd forms up the way it always does. Priests at the front, pilgrims who followed the procession out, the women from the route finding a spot close to the cross. They're not leaving. The nailing takes about 10 minutes. You know the anatomy. Wrists, not palms. Palms tear under the body weight. The tissue can't hold it. Wrists distribute the load to the bone. You learned it from the man who trained you, and he learned it from the man who trained him. He doesn't fight you. Most do. Some need the whole detail to hold them down. Some curse loud enough for half the crowd to hear. He says something while it's happening. You catch it because he says it with no anger in it at all, which is the only reason it cuts through. Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. You finish the nail, move to the next one. Cross goes up. Charge posted above his head in 3 languages: Hebrew, Greek, Latin, King of the Jews. The priests complained about the wording to Pilate before we left. Pilate didn't change it. Above your rank. You split his clothes between the 4 of you. His outer robe is one piece, woven top to bottom. Cutting it wrecks it. You throw dice instead. 2 minutes. Then you take your positions. You knew the procedure, the technique, every step from the garden to the gate. You knew exactly how to drive a nail through a wrist and distribute the weight across bone. You knew what you were doing in that way. That's the part the prayer lands on. You didn't know what you were actually doing. Standing guard at a crucifixion is mostly waiting. Hours of it. Punctuated by things you don't forget. The crowd is loud at first. Priests near the front getting most of it out mocking the King of the Jews charge, telling him to come down if he's really who he says he is. After a while it dies down. People drift off. The ones who stay are there for a reason. The women don't leave. The older one looks like she's holding the weight of it in her body. Younger one next to her. A man with them who hasn't slept since the garden by the look of him. Family usually falls apart at a crucifixion. These don't. Around midday the sky goes dark. Not clouds. You know what clouds look like. This is something else. Wrong quality, wrong time of day, wrong feel in the air. Temperature drops. The men around you tighten up on their spears without anyone telling them to. Nobody speaks. You hold your post. Near the end, he says he's thirsty. You've got sour wine on you, standard issue. You soak a sponge, put it on a hyssop branch, hold it up to him. You don't know why you do it. You've never done it for anyone else. You just do it. He dies around mid-afternoon. One loud cry and then gone. Faster than most crucifixion usually goes days. You file that away without a conclusion. The earthquake hits right after. Real one. Comes up through the ground and into your chest. Men around you scatter slightly, grabbing at their spears, looking for orders. No formation drill for an earthquake. You stay where you are. Your centurion is next to you. He's looking at the cross. Says it without turning his head. Truly, this man was the Son of God. You don't answer. You've got work to finish. The 2 men alongside are still alive. You break their legs standard before the Sabbath, collapses the chest, finishes it faster. You don't break his. Already gone. One of the others puts a spear in his side to confirm. Blood and water come out separate. You make a note of it because you're trained to note what doesn't fit. Report filed. Executed. Confirmed deceased. No complications. You walk back through the gate. Back to the barracks. You eat. You try to sleep. You're a practical man. 10 years of service, you learn to process things and keep moving. You've done it plenty of times before. This one won't close. 3 days later, the city loses its mind. The tomb is empty. That's the word going through every barrack and market in Jerusalem by morning. Witnesses everywhere, names, locations, specific conversations, the kind of detail you can't just make up. The priests are paying soldiers to say the body got stolen while the guards were asleep. You've been around long enough to know what it looks like when people in power start paying for a story. You don't investigate, not your job, but you were in that garden. You saw what happened to that servant's ear. You watched the sky go dark in the middle of the day and felt the ground move under your feet. You heard the prayer. And now you're standing in a city that can't explain where the body of a man you personally confirmed dead has gone. You don't say any of it out loud. You're a soldier. You finish your posting. 25 years total. Discharge. Land in Campania. You grow olives. Good work. Slow. Your hands in the dirt most days. Same hands. You hear about your centurion years later. Someone passing through mentions a Roman officer in Caesarea who got tangled up with a Jewish teacher's followers. You don't go looking for more information. You already know which teacher. The story's been spreading across the empire for years by then. You catch bits of it in markets, from people passing through. The name keeps coming up same way it came up in every briefing that week in Jerusalem, except now it's not attached to a political problem. It's attached to something that apparently didn't finish at Golgotha, the way everyone who signed that charge sheet was counting on. You tend your trees. The prayer comes back when you're working. Not like battle memories, those hit hard and sudden. This is quieter, just there. Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. You knew the anatomy. You knew the procedure. Every step from the garden to the gate. That prayer wasn't covering ignorance you actually had about how to crucify a man. Whether it covered you anyway is the thing you carry for the rest of your life. No clean answer either way, just the question, just present, same as the prayer. What do you think happened to that soldier after he left Judea? Comment below. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. See you then.